Hello, Indonesia. I'm Tom Morello. Check out my interview on CreativeDisc.com, the #1 music website in Indonesia.
So, hello, CD lovers. Welcome to another Creative Disc exclusive interview with me, Lutfi. And today's guest is very, very special because, oh my God, he's the guitar legend in our generation. So, my guest today always make guitar not just an ordinary instrument. He always make guitar an interesting form of expression. He's also vocal to always fight the power from past, now, and then. So it's an honor to present you to our guest today. This is Mr. Tom Morello.
Hello. Hello,
Hello
friends,
there.
fans, and comrades in Indonesia. How's it going?
Oh, it's very very nice here in Indonesia, but it's not a little. It's not. It's very uneasy in Indonesia because we have a semi lockdown again.
Oh, yeah. Same here. Same here. So we're all in the same boat there. Yeah.
Yes. So how are you today?
I'm well. It just had a long day, but one thing that I never get too tired of is talking about music, and especially when I have new music that I'm putting out. And I would say especially when I'm speaking with Indonesia, I just have to start off by saying when Prophets of Rage played in Indonesia a couple of years ago, it really was a career highlight for me. It's somewhere that I've always wanted to play and always wanted to spend some time. And so we were able to both do some sightseeing and play a great gig in front of great fans, and everybody was so warm and welcoming. So I just want to thank all of the Indonesian fans, whether you're fans of my band Rage Against the Machine or Audio Slave or Prophets of Rage or the Atlas Underground project. I just want to say thank you to all of you for your support through the years.
So what's the fond memories you remember of Indonesia when you're playing in there?
Sure. Well, I mean, first of all, the show I thought was great, and the crowd was really wonderful. I also got to visit like the big mosque, which was like really beautiful, and yeah, it was really beautiful. And like I met with some activists, which was nice, and and some different people, human rights organizations. Like it was really wonderful. Like the vibe was so friendly and so welcoming. A friend of mine from the States had lived in Indonesia for some time, and so he gave us some like local bars to go to. So we were just out in the middle of like I don't even know where, but it was really nice to sort of sit there with the locals and have a beer.
So talking about your new music, it's a cover of a legendary rock song, Highway to Hell. So what's the decision in many legendary rock songs? What's your decision to cover Highway to Hell?
Sure. Well, I have a new record out called The Atlas Underground Fire, and the record has a lot of interesting collaborators. I recorded the entire record in my studio here during lockdown by myself, but I was shipping off riffs to different people around the globe. So I'll talk about Highway to Hell in a second, but the people that are on the record coming October 15th are Bruce Springsteen and Eddie Vedder, Bring Me the Horizon, Phantogram, Chris Stapleton, grandson, Mike Posner, who actually recorded his song while he was summiting Mount Everest, crazy, Damian Marley, Prototype, Femme, Refused, and Sama Abdul Hadi, who is a Palestinian DJ. Anyway, but the song Highway to Hell, it's one of the classic big rock songs of all time. Bruce Springsteen and Eddie Vedder and I have some history with that song. In 2014, when I was playing with the E Street Band in Australia, in Perth, that's the home of Bon Scott, the singer of AC/DC. I visited his grave to pay my respects, and then afterwards I saw Bruce Springsteen in the lobby of the hotel, and I said, Bruce, do you think that the E Street Band and AC/DC might overlap in any ways? And he said, maybe. So we rehearsed Highway to Hell, and then we were playing this huge football stadium in Melbourne, and Eddie Vedder happened to be at the show. He was there on a solo tour. So I knocked on Bruce's dressing room door. I said, I got an idea. Australia loves AC/DC. Australia super loves Highway to Hell. Why don't we open the show with Highway to Hell with Eddie Vedder? And we did, and it was like one of the best rock moments of all time, one of the greatest rock and roll songs of all time with two of the greatest rock and roll singers. So when I was making this Atlas Underground Fire record, I thought to myself, I'm working with a lot of brilliant young artists, but I want some of my brothers on the record. And I want to play a classic AC/DC song with Bruce Springsteen and Eddie Vedder. And that's where Highway to Hell came from.
So tell me, or tell the story about a new album, The Atlas Underground Fire. Tell me more about it.
So, I have a studio here, but I don't know how to run it. I don't know how to work it. Normally, there's an engineer who does all of that, right? But there was no engineer here during lockdown. So a real breakthrough came when I read an article by Kanye West, who was bragging about the fact that he had recorded vocals for a couple of his records onto the voice memo of his phone. And I said, well, if he can do that, I can record guitar onto my phone. So I just literally put, you can see the studio in the back. I literally put my phone next to my amp, hit the red button, and started rocking. And then I would send these riffs to producers around the world, and that was the real breakthrough. So even though it was a time of being like sort of isolated, I was able to create this community to make the Atlas Underground Fire album.
So what's your decision to collab with so many artists in the Atlas Underground project?
Yeah. Well, I made another Atlas Underground record in 2018, and the idea of this is I love being a solo artist because you can have a pure vision of what you want to do, but I also love being in a band where there's a chemistry between the musicians to take music into unexpected places. The Atlas Underground albums really are the best of both worlds, where the overall vision is mine, the electric guitar leads the way the whole time, but each of the individual songs has a collaborator who brings their own magic to it and takes the music in places that I might not have thought of on my own.
So on your solo work, you always played with many artists with different genre. You in the past you play even country. Sometimes you play rock, electronic, folk. Like, is it one of the way that you keep you fresh in musically?
Yeah, it absolutely keeps me fresh, and it also allows me to keep expanding. Like every experience that I have, whether it's with a country artist like Chris Stapleton, or a heavy metal band like Bring Me the Horizon, or a classic rocker like Bruce Springsteen and Eddie Vedder. Every time you play with someone, this is a great, bit of advice for young musicians. Every time you play with someone new, you're going to learn something. And over the course of a, almost 30-year career, I've played with so many incredible artists, from folk artists to Wu-Tang Clan, from Sepultura to to EDM stars. It's like to Skrillex. It's like I feel like I've had one of the best musical educations you possibly can. But I believe in my heart that the electric guitar has a great future, not just a great past. And that's why I want to work with artists that are going to help me take the guitar into the future.
Wow. So what we're going to expect from the Atlas Underground Fire?
So yeah, so there's I'll just go through one of the songs. The first song on the record is called Harlem Hellfighter. It was one of those days where I just, I grew up I was born in Harlem, New York City, and I wanted to have start the record off with a huge banger with big riffs and big bass drops. Then there's Highway to Hell, of course, the AC/DC classic with Bruce and Eddie. Let's Get the Party Started with Bring Me the Horizon. It was a great rocking band out of the UK and Brazil.
Yeah.
Phantogram, Driving to Texas. They're really beautiful alternative band. Chris Stapleton, who's a huge country and western star in the US, who reminds me very much of Chris Cornell, who I played with. Some of the songs are more political. Some of the songs are more reflective of the anxiety that we've all been feeling during this particular historical time. Yes.
So you've got new podcast called Maximum Firepower. I already recently heard it, and it's a very, very epic podcast because is it kind of you kind of make a history of rock with your voice, like maybe can you tell more about Maximum Firepower?
Sure. Yeah, so I have a podcast called Maximum Firepower, and it really started as another way to try to keep my sanity during lockdown. I was here's a way to talk with friends, and it's not like long political speeches. It's basically when my friends and I go out to a bar, go out to have a coffee or something like that. It's what we talk about. And we talk about music, and we say what we think is good, what we think is bad, like the records that have mattered to us, our personal histories together, whether it's with Jane's Addiction or Pearl Jam or U2 or whoever. So it's really just sort of it started out as kind of like a relaxing way to spend an afternoon, but it's become a successful podcast. So I'm happy for that.
Do you kind of have any specific goal when you're making this podcast?
No, the only goal was to keep myself from going crazy during lockdown. That would really that would really be the one goal. And it was helpful in that regard.
So from past until now, you always fight the power, always encourage the people to tell the truth and to think more critical about what's happening right now. Yes. So what's the thing or maybe spirit to keep you alive to do this thing consistently? Because it's a kind of hard things to do.
Sure, sure. I mean, well, a lot of my influences have not just been musicians, but they've been activists. And the one message, I think this Atlas Underground Fire record is my 21st album
Mm,
that I've made,
mm.
21 albums.
Ooh.
That's a lot of records, right? And the one theme that goes through all of those records is the message to the fans is that the world is not going to change itself. That's up to you. And history is not something that happens. History is
Mm.
something that you make. And at every whenever the world has changed for the better, it's changed by people no different than anyone listening to this right now. It's really,
Mm.
you know, they've had no more power, courage, money, influence. It's just people standing up in their place and time to make a better and more decent planet.
Because it's kind of hard things to do because some people already give up
Yes, yes.
doing
Well, I
these
mean,
things.
the one antidote for giving up is looking at history. Like when I was born, there were
Mm.
some things that were in the world that people thought were never going to change. The Berlin
Mm.
Wall, for example,
Yes, yes.
no one thought that was going to change. You know,
Mm.
the apartheid in South Africa, that seemed like that was
Mm.
never going to change. And those things change, not
Mm.
because of people, regular, ordinary people. You know, in the
Mm.
United States, that Black people have having the right to vote. Those are things that were not in the distant past, and it's really just a matter of people in their own, like, dare to dream about the world
Mm.
you really want. That's the message of the music from day one: is don't compromise in your music, don't compromise in your message, and don't compromise in the world that you're willing to fight for.
So looking back again in your life, what's the thing in your youth day that you can take more wisely as an older person right now?
That's a good question. Well, I'm raising two young boys. I have a 10-year-old and 11-year-old, so I'm trying to help them not repeat some of my mistakes. But I guess the one lesson that I try to carry forward is, I mean, and it sounds almost cliched, but for me, it's been an entire career, is to follow your heart. You know, I went to college, I had a degree in political science, but I knew in my heart I was a guitar player. And, you know, I had support from my family who just said, go be a guitar player. I'm like, great. And I think the only measure of success is being true to yourself. And whether that's in your job, whether that's in your hobby, whether that's with your friends, is being true to yourself.
Oh, that's a lot, Tom. Thank you for the advice. It's really means a lot to me to have a hard times like this. Thank you very much. So mention 5 things we didn't know about Mr. Tom Morello.
5 things you didn't know about Mr. Tom Morello? Is
Yes.
that right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Tom Morello is a big fan of Lady Gaga. Tom Morello attended Harvard University and graduated with honors. Tom Morello and Barack Obama both have Kenyan dads. White American moms are from Chicago and were at Harvard at the same time.
Oh.
And let's see, what else don't you know about Tom Morello? Tom Morello is a very big fan of. I was trying to think of the Indonesian beer that I drank. I forget what it was. I wish I had that.
Bintang Angker.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. Is that it?
It's Bintang.
I think so.
Oh, or maybe Anchor. That's the
Anchor.
one.
Yeah, Anchor.
Anchor.
Yes.
Oh, Anchor. That's one. Yeah.
I remember that. And then lastly, something that you may suspect about Tom Morello, but you may not know, is that I really hope to be able to come back to Indonesia to perform again.
Amen. So this is a wrap up our interview. Thank you very much, Mr. Tom Morello. It's been an honor to be talk with you, even if it's not much time, but it's been a really honor to you. I'm a fan of your work. I'm a fan of your guitar work. You always make a guitar an interesting expressional form. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And that's it.
And thanks.
And that's it. CreativeDisc. That's CreativeDisc exclusive interview for today. Thank you for watching. See you on another interview.